There are a lot of topics that I'd hope that we would talk about, and I don't know where to begin. But so then I'm just gonna begin because there's just so much that is there. So we just start from however this is gonna start, or wherever that is gonna start. But we'll start with wisdom, because in all you're getting, get wisdom. In all you're getting, get understanding. And the fact and the idea that wisdom has to be a daily habit. Wisdom has to be a practice. It has to be a habit. You have to habitually be wise. So there's this like series that I want to have of just talking about the book of Proverbs, and this is going to give us daily habits of wisdom. But the habit is just going to be reading a chapter of wisdom every day. Just make it as simple and as effortless as possible so that you can create habits. The issue of habits is the issue of the psychology, which is the issue of the mind. And without the mind, we can't do anything, because the first law of the universe is that everything is the mind. So the mind, the mental aspect is like, without the mind we can't do anything. So this is why we begin with wisdom, and this is why when God created everything in all his works of old, he started with wisdom, because wisdom says that when everything was being laid down, when God was making his plans, he actually laid down wisdom. So this is why it starts. So we start with wisdom, but what we do is we start with light. Let there be light. So on the first day, as we realize, is that God said, let there be light. But on the fourth day, as we realize, this is when let there be light. And this is when the sun is created. So the sun and the stars and the moon, they are not the light. They are lights. So God, the Father of light, said, let there be light. So this is wisdom, which is what starts. So this intangible light is what we start with. This is where we begin the quest of wisdom. But the quest of wisdom has to be a daily pursuit. The daily pursuit of wisdom is to say that let there be light, because the light that shines brighter and brighter until the noonday is wisdom. So the pursuit of the habit is something that you do consistently. Habit means garment. Habit is something that you wear. Okay, so habit means the habitat. It is also your environment. So your environment is also your external environment, your internal environment, like the garments you wear. But a habit is an internal garment. So put on the full armor of God. Have the habit of what it takes to have the discipline of a person with the stature of a soldier. So the stature and the commandments and are the statutes and the commandments. So when I was looking at the commandments, it's interesting that some of the most important commandments are the unmentioned commandments, are the commandments written between the lines, or are not as or they are explicit, but they are commandments such as the greatest commandment, right? When the rich young ruler asked, what is the two greatest commandments? The greatest commandments that Jesus spoke and quoted are actually commandments that he did not get from the 10, like the Decalogue, but he got them from everything that is around the commandments, which is love God, right? As and love your neighbor, right? And do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Okay, the golden rule and the greatest commandment. So he gave them two commandments. He asked for one commandment, but then they all are precept upon precept and line upon line. Here a little and there a little. But he had to get them as commandments that are coming from the same source. So another commandment such as be fruitful and multiply. This is not in the 10 commandments, but this is the first commandment and it's always repeated in the first. So our multiplication of everything, our multiplication of wisdom is what we should do every day. The multiplication of light, which is the multiplication of insight. So each and every day you should be gaining more and more insight. Each and every day you should be gaining more and more light. Each and every day should be another chance for you to multiply in the inferences, in the understandings, in the in what you gather from the word of God, or in the meditation of God, which is why I mention posture, which is why I mention statutes, which is why I mention a statue. Okay, so in the posture of putting on the whole armor of God, in the garments of our own wisdom and understanding, we are in the process of gaining insight through gaining the light and through gaining the understanding that would come through listening to the words of wisdom and through learning from the words of Solomon, the wisdom of Solomon. So 31 chapters in Solomon, 31 days in a month, one chapter each day. Simple as it is. Simple as it is. So just make it as simple as you can to make wisdom a habit, to multiply the light, because what good is it for you to have the light and hide it under a bed? What good is it for you to have the insight and not share it? So when you light a candle, you can light a million other candles without depleting the light of the first candle that lights the candle. So you can always gain more light. You can always bring more light. You can always have more insight. So let us multiply the light, but let us read. Let us make this the practice, the reading practice, the reading culture. Daniel was able to ascertain through reading. So we're also going to ascertain through reading and research, because it is the glory of God to hide things, but it is the honor of kings to search out a matter. So let us research, to research out a matter.